Hello. So I am now back with the movie reviews. This is going to be a movie review of Pixar's Toy Story that came out in 1995. So a couple of years and it'll be 20 years old. Or no, 30 years old, excuse me. 30 years old. Yeah. So, um, this is the first Pixar movie, and this is going to be the first one that I'm going to do when I go through all the different Pixar movies. I think I stated before, but I'm going to state it again here. I am going to do each Pixar movie individually, and the fact that, yes, Toy Story 2 and 3 and 4 are all continuations of the original Toy Story, and, the Cars movies are continuations of the original Cars movie and such, and, we've had sequels, or in the case of, Monsters, Inc. prequels. And I am still going to do each one individually because they all each got separate theatrical releases. And I did this for like the Disney movies when I did Wreck-It Ralph and then Ralph Breaks the Internet and Frozen 2. I did not do that for the Rescuers movies, but I think I put them in the same video. Both of the Rescuers movies, I think I reviewed them in the same video. But in this case, for these ones, since they're all rather long, and there is a few, different things in regards to the development of the movies that I did want to go over. One very particular thing, to a degree, when it comes to Toy Story, that I'll go over closer to the end. When I talk about the development. And I have a Kingdom Hearts shirt on today because I get to talk about Kingdom Hearts with this one as well, because Kingdom Hearts has a Toy Story tie-in with it. And you may be wondering why I have random stuffed animals back here and a plastic horse. Pretty much anyone that's seen Toy Story, even has the basic idea of Toy Story, understands the fact that, the concept of Toy Story is that when the humans are not around, the toys come to life and move around and play and, have like their own personalities and everything like that. And, when you're a kid growing up, if you've seen Toy Story, just any of the other movies that deal with like toys coming to life, you do tend to have more of a concept of, well, do my toys come to life when I'm not around? Like if I'm not in this room, do like the stuffed animals over there start moving around and, do like any of the action figures and stuff that I have up here, like do they move around and stuff like that? When you're a kid, this is stuff that you think about, and even when you're almost 30 years old, this is stuff that you think about if you have my brain. Yeah, that's fun. So there's that concept there, of course, that the toys come alive, and the thing that these toys all have in common is these are some of the older toys that I have, and I've had them the longest. This stuffed bear, I think it's this stuffed bear, we have a picture of me with this bear when I was a baby. And it's just me as a baby next to this bear, and the bear was bigger than I am. And then we have this stuffed tiger that is Raja. You possibly hear Rainy barking in the background. There is a dog in this movie. It's not a very nice dog, but there is a dog in this movie. We have Raja. That's my stuffed tiger that I've had for quite a while. Before my mom and I moved into this house, we lived in an apartment for quite a while after my parents got divorced. And Raja, one Christmas, Mom's like, go check in the hall closet. And I look in the hall closet, and there's this stuffed tiger in the hall closet type of a thing. This is a stuffed Dragonite, if you cannot tell. His head flops because the stuffing is not very good in his neck. And I've had him for quite a while, and then this plastic horse I have had for quite a while as well. And then I have one other stuffed animal that I did want to showcase in this video, and that is this stuffed teddy bear that I've had for a very long time. He has his nose is scratched up, and he's got a few rips in him that I've had to fix over the years. This is Ted. From what I remember, because it's like I almost always remember having him, but from what I remember, my mom told me that the babysitter that I went to before I went to elementary school, the kind of the preschool daycare type center that I went to before I went to elementary school, the lady that ran it, her daughter gave me Ted like just before it was like one of my last days there, and she gave me Ted. And you probably hear Rainy barking. he's barking at something that's outside. I can already guarantee you of that. That's his, oh my god, there's another dog that walked by, or there's a cat in the backyard bark. Um, but you know, so I've had Ted for a very long time, and one of the things that you're not sure about when it comes to the toys, when it comes to whether or not they come to life, is do they only come to life once they've been like played with by a child, or do they only come to life, you know, after they've like been loved by a child? And that's just one of those, you know, things that you're just kind of curious about when it comes to stuff. So on that note, let's dive into Toy Story. So of course the movie opens with Andy Davis, who is the main human character of the movie. It's his birthday party, or it's the day of his birthday party. And we see him, and we are introduced to several of his toys. You know, he's playing with his toys in his room and everything like that. And, you know, he's got Woody, who is, of course, Sheriff Woody, who is this, sheriff doll that he had. And he, of course, has a Mr. Potato Head doll and a Slinky dog. And I remember I had a Mr. Potato Head doll when I was growing up, and I think I had a Slinky dog at some point in time. And then he has Rex, who's this, toy Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I could have brought in my stuffed Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's too late. I'm already recording. And I'm lazy. And, he's got Bo Peep, who's this, porcelain, lady that she's actually part of a lamp set. We find out later on she's part of this lamp set with like her 3 sheep, because little Bo Peep and her sheep, and everything. And they're he's playing with them and everything. And he gets called downstairs, and like we can see very easily that like Woody is his favorite toy. He's got like Sheriff Woody stuff drawings and everything like that all over his room. And, Woody and, Andy, go downstairs, and like Andy's mom, like, you better go and finish getting ready for your birthday party because everybody's going to be here soon. And, Andy runs back upstairs, drops Woody in his room, takes his little sister, Molly, and takes her downstairs to go finish getting ready for the party. And once he leaves the room, all the toys come to life, and, they start walking around. They have their own personalities. They start, laughing and playing with each other, and having conversations and everything. And like Woody and Slink apparently like to play checkers, and like Bo and Woody clearly have this big flirtation with each other and everything like that. And like they all love being able playing with Andy and everything. And eventually I will end up doing a Pixar's couple list, but that'll probably be like next Valentine's Day. It'll probably be when I do some of the Pixar couples, because there's not as many as there are for Disney couples. But that'll be a very different list on a very different, that'll be next year thing. Since I didn't do that for this year's, February Valentine's Day stuff. I still have the stuff up. Because I'm recording this actually the day before Valentine's Day is when this is getting recorded. And, Andy's, got all of these toys, and they're all, interacting with each other in his room after him and Molly head out to go down for the party. And I like how Woody basically just has like this quote unquote staff meeting, which is like all of the toys come together, and like he's going to give like this kind of, speech or staff meeting type of a thing, because it's like Woody's kind of like the head toy in the room. His spot is on the bed with Andy, that type of a thing. So he has this 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 concept, the toys kind of follow Woody's lead to a degree. Not that they don't necessarily argue with him every now and then, but they kind of follow Woody's lead. And, but, Woody and, the others have this, kind of conference meeting type of a thing. And, it's just funny with like how they do everything. It's so adorable, with the way that they interact and everything. And then Woody's like, oh yeah, and it appears that Andy's birthday party has been moved to today. Like all the toys start freaking out because like they're worried, of course, about being replaced by a new toy. Like Rex, for example, is worried about like, oh no, what if Andy gets like another dinosaur toy and it's like a lot scarier than me? Then what's gonna happen? Or Mr. Potato Head wants a Mrs. Potato Head. And like just different things like that. Like they're all just kind of worried about that. But Woody like calms them all down. He's like, no, it's okay. We're just going to, we just all have to stay calm. It's fine. We just have to, if there's new toys, that's fine. Andy loves all of us though, and that's not a problem. It's like our job is not to, be Andy's favorites. Our jobs are to be there for Andy when he needs us. And so we see this interaction there. And of course, Woody sends the little green army men down to, down to like spy on the party when like all the kids start showing up with like all their different gifts. And in reality, the way that they designed this movie, because like this is like Toy Story was, of course, it's the first Pixar movie, but it's also this first fully computer animated feature length movie. I mean, like Pixar had done like the little shorts and everything like that up to this point, but they just didn't have, this was the first feature length one that they'd done. And I mean, like maybe some people didn't quite see it as groundbreaking as like Snow White was for, like for drawing and everything like that, for like hand drawn animation. But I, to a degree, can very much say that, Toy Story very much can hold its own against Snow White in the fact of, yeah, okay, maybe the characters aren't as, maybe like the human characters aren't as like realistic as we would like to see them be, but the way that we see them, the way that they are, this movie is focused on the toys, not focused on the humans. So, and that's another thing that I'm going to like about like rewatching through all of Pixar in order is just like seeing this evolution of like, starting off with, Toy Story 1 and like working my way through just like seeing the differences between Toy Story and then Toy Story 2 and then like, several years later with like Toy Story 3 and then Toy Story 4, just, just increasing in like the amount of detail and everything like that they put into the different movies and how they can, increase more and more and more the higher quality of what they can do. And that's going to be something I really will enjoy about watching the movies again, because I like doing that with the Disney animated movies as well. It's just like watching them slowly, and then like leaps and bounds in some cases of like, bringing in different media together. But like what we see is, the toys are all very worried about being replaced. So Andy sends the little green army men down to go and like spy on the party. And the thing that I was trying to point out is that like a lot of the party guests are actually all just like Andy in different outfits, which is just funny. Because they didn't have the ability to like make all these different character models for the kids. So just a lot of them are like Andy in different outfits because you don't really like zoom in on the kids that much. So it's like, the little green army men make their way down and, it's just funny like how they like every time like a human comes in, they like freeze in motion, like pause and like their, there's different, action poses or whatever that they have as little green army men. And, they get down there and they have like this walkie-talkie and they're hiding in like this fake plant or whatever that they have. And, like they're watching the party as like all the kids open gifts, as Andy opens his presents. It's like, oh, it's a board game. It's bed sheets. It's, all this other stuff, and it's just like, okay, nothing, and all the toys are like, okay, fine. There was nothing really that we needed to worry about there or whatever. And, it's just like, okay, well, that's fine. There's nothing really that we need to worry about. And then they say, oh no, mom brought out one more last minute gift from hiding in the closet. Oh no, it's got wrapping paper. It's got, space wrapping paper. Like they open it up. It's a, oh no. And like the radio just kind of like cuts out because it's like the different toys are just like, oh my God, what is it? Like they break the radio. And like, so it's like they all hear the kids running upstairs to like go and play in Andy's room, and like all the toys like scatter and hide and everything, and like they run into the room and like they, we see them like drop this box on the bed and like we see them do this other stuff and like they run out and then like they hear Andy's mom calling for them to come back downstairs to have cake, so they all rush back downstairs. And during this, scuffle, during this action, Woody had kind of been like pushed off the bed and like fell behind the bed and like had to crawl out from under the bed, and they're like, Woody, what are you doing under the bed? Nothing. Nothing happened. I'm fine. And they go up and they look on top of the bed and they see this new toy standing there, and he's a Buzz Lightyear action figure. And that was the toy that Andy's mother gave him. And we just, see like he initially like does all this like concept of like, of course, as an audience, we get the concept of, if you've seen Toy Story, the whole thing of like Buzz thinks he's the real Buzz Lightyear. And, he just thinks that he's like landed on like this, alien planet, and he doesn't know where he is, and like his spaceship needs to be fixed and like all this other stuff. And he just thinks that, he thinks that all these are alien life forms and everything like that. And, it's like, he just goes through this whole process where he's just like, they all just get introduced to him. Like, he thinks he has like a real laser beam and that he can really fly and like all this other stuff. And like, Woody is very annoyed by this, obviously, because what Buzz is like this cool new toy coming into, cool new toy in the bed, in the room and everything like that. And, he just, thinks that, he thinks that his spaceship is damaged, and he says something about like, oh, I have to leave this planet soon because I have to get back to my mission, and, I have to find a way to defeat Emperor Zurg, evil Emperor Zurg and everything like that. And, and the Buzz in his name is obviously because of Buzz Aldrin and everything, and Lightyear is, of course, because that's the fastest, as far as light can travel in a year, of course, is the way that works and everything. It's this distance that they measure units by in space, of course, and, he thinks he's part of the, what is it? It's not the Galactic Federation, because that's Star Trek, isn't it? But it's like, the Galactic whatever. And, he's just like, very much thinks that he's the real Buzz Lightyear, and like the rest of the toys think that he's pretty cool and everything. And pretty much the course of the movie happens within a week or so, because like we hear from Andy and his mom that it's just like, oh well, we're gonna be moving next week and everything like that. Like the rest of them are just like, make sure that you have your moving buddy and everything, because we're gonna be moving next week, and we don't want anybody left behind. And so there's like that whole thing that goes into that. So it's like we know that they're going to be moving soon, but like throughout the course of what we see is like from Woody's perspective is that like, pictures of him come off the wall, and like, Buzz is the one that's up on the wall with like the Buzz Lightyear posters and everything, and like all this other stuff. And Woody is just very much disheartened by watching all of this, because like he just sees how much like the other toys like really like Buzz, and he's like, having fun with the other toys. And Woody is just very much kind of, oh, I don't like this and everything. He's just like very worried, because he's very worried that he's the one that's being replaced in Andy's mind, being replaced in Andy's heart. Is like, he was Andy's favorite toy, because like I think it's Potato Head says that, you've been, Andy's #1 toy since kindergarten, type of a thing. You're not going to be replaced and everything, but the rest of us, we can all be replaced, type of a thing. And so we see a lot of that, and Woody is getting very, very angry and upset and jealous of Buzz. And there's one day where like Andy and his mom, they're gonna go to Pizza Planet, and they have like 1 or 2 days or something like that. It's like the next day is when they're gonna be leaving, so they're gonna go to Pizza Planet for one more time before they leave. And like she's, Andy's like, hey, can I take a toy with me? And she's like, yeah, just one. And like he goes upstairs, and like he's gonna take, his intention is to take Buzz, but of course Woody and his jealousy, he has basically caused an issue where he just wanted to get Buzz to like fall behind the dresser, or like fall behind the desk or something like that. And during the whole commotion of everything that happens, because things don't go the exact way that Woody was intending, Buzz falls out the window, and he lands in the bushes. And the rest of the toys all see what happened, and like they're just like, oh my god, you pushed Buzz out the window, you did that all on purpose and everything. And it's just this whole incident where it's just like in like the toys' mind, they think, in the toys, Bo and Slinky kind of being the ones that don't necessarily think this, Rex too, but like Mr. Potato Head and Ham and several of the other toys are just like, oh my god, Buzz, Woody pushed Buzz out the window because he's getting so jealous of him and everything like that. And that's when Andy runs into the room, like, and he can't find Buzz, so he grabs Woody to take him to go to visit Pizza Planet. And what we see is, of course, during the course of what happens is, of course, Woody's in the car, and like Buzz like crawled his way out of the bushes, and he saw, Buzz, saw Woody in the car, and like just out of anger, he, followed them in the car, like climbed on the back of the car and like followed them or whatever. And they end up at like this gas station, and Buzz and Woody end up, being out of the car, and like they have this whole huge argument, which is where we have the famous line, "You are a toy." That whole moment where like Woody basically, Buzz goes into this whole thing, because like this point in time, Woody has figured out that it's not an act. Buzz actually thinks that he's the real Buzz Lightyear. And, he doesn't, Buzz doesn't realize that you're just a toy, a child's plaything. And, Buzz just thinks Woody's insane. Buzz just thinks that Woody's insane in the fact that, he's like, I have to find my way to the edge of the galaxy where evil Emperor Zurg is like building this, spaceship or whatever that can destroy planets or whatever. And so we see what happens with that. Like, they just have this huge argument and everything. And Buzz is just ready to storm off. And, like, Woody is like, I just have to get to Pizza Planet because then I can get back to Andy. But he's just like, but if I don't show up with Buzz when we go home, then all the other toys are still going to be mad at me. They're also going to blame me for what happened to Buzz. And he's like, I can't let that happen. So he sees the Pizza Planet truck that happens to pull up, which, of course, the Pizza Planet truck is, I think, in, like, every single Disney movie or every single Pixar movie up to this point. It's even in Brave. It's in, like, the Woodcutter's Witch's Shop in Brave. It's in almost, I think it's in every single one. Every single Pixar movie, but the Pizza Planet truck is there. And so Woody basically tricks Buzz into getting into the Pizza Planet truck so that way they can get a ride to Pizza Planet. And then, of course, Woody sees, Andy and, his mom and everything. And it's just like, okay, Buzz, I know the ship that we're going to get on. We're going to try to get in this. And then Buzz climbed his way into a rocket-themed, the crane game. And he ends up, where they end up meeting all of the little green aliens. With the, you have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful. Although that's not until this one. I think that's in, that's either 2 or 3. But, it's that moment of, you have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful moment. And, they're just like the cloud. To this day, I find that funny. The claw. Never mind, the claw is the one that makes the decisions. And Rainey is apparently arguing with me about that. And what we see is, of course, Buzz and Woody are, in the crane game. Like, Woody is just trying to convince Buzz to get out of the crane game so they can, go and they need to get with, go back to Andy and everything. And, the crane game gets played with. And the claw comes down and it grabs Buzz. Well, first it grabs an alien. And then it grabs Buzz. And the one that, that's on the crane game is, of course, Sid Phillips, who is Andy's next door neighbor, who earlier in the movie we met. And his idea of fun. No. Dog. Sid's idea of fun is, of course, blowing up toys, because we see him blow up like a toy earlier on in the movie, and we see him like let his dog just like play with the toys extremely violently, and like he just like tortures toys, and he's just like this psychotic little kid. And, psychotic kid that's like maybe just a tad older than Andy or so. I don't think he's like a huge amount older than Andy, but he's just a little bit older than Andy. And he, he's, pulls Buzz out, and like Woody's holding on to Buzz, so it's, they don't get separated type of a thing. And they end up, they get, thrown into Sid's bag, and he skateboards back to his house. So it's like, well, you're halfway there because you're at least like across the, you're, at least within distance of Andy's house. So that's at least something. And of course, we meet Sid's sister, Hannah, and he just like, he enjoys torturing her by like taking her toys and like, he takes like her doll's head and pops it off and like pops on like the head of a, part of me wanted to say Velociraptor. I've seen the new Jurassic World Dominion trailer recently, so it's just like, oh, that looks interesting. So I had Velociraptor on my mind, but that's right. It's pterosaur. It's a pterosaur head that he puts on the doll, like gives that back to her, and then she's just like, ah! Type of a thing, because he likes to torture his sister as well. And, you know, we see, you know, he like does that to, you know, to that doll, and then, you know, Buzz and Woody end up seeing all these other dolls, these, you know, mismatched toys that like Sid has created and everything, these many experiments as he refers to them. And he at one point, like, he kind of tries to, so I think it's like this, like the next morning is like the day before they're going to leave, if I remember correctly. Because they're at Sid's house for like one night, and then it's the next day, and then they're at Sid's house for another night. And then that next morning, if I remember correctly, is when they're leaving. Because Sid like attempts to quote unquote torture Woody by, you know, using the magnifying glass, and like it burns a little mark on top of Woody's head and everything. And one of the things that you will notice about Toy Story, about the original Toy Story, there is no water and no like actual liquid throughout the entire movie. I think the closest that you get to anything you see on screen that looks like liquid is that, like, in the Pizza Planet, there's like these drink dispenser machines that drop like quote unquote alien slime. But I think they got away with that in the movie because it doesn't have to look exactly like water. And then, like, you know, when Woody, you know, when he, you know, burns the mark on Woody's forehead, you know, he has to like try to put his head in, like, it looks like a bowl of cereal, and like you hear the noise, but of like water, but there's no actual water in it. And like, you know, Woody is just not having a fun time, and Buzz still hasn't like realized that he's a toy yet, doesn't quite realize the danger they're in. And, you know, they try to, you know, escape the house at that point in time. And what happens is they get chased by the dog, and Buzz ends up in this room where he sees a commercial for the Buzz Lightyear action figure toy that he is. And he sees the commercial, and, you know, you can just see on Buzz's face, you know, it's like you put enough, you know, that's like they animated this well enough for a computer animated toy to, I mean, like at this point in time, they had like so many Disney movies, you know, animated movies up to this point where you can like, and even non-Disney animated movies, you know, up to that point, that you can see the emotion on the characters' faces, even though it's just an animated drawing. But in this case, it's, you know, this computer animated drawing, and you buy this emotion of Buzz just watching his world fall apart. His, you know, his belief of what he was is just kind of like, just like cracking and shattering apart in front of him. And, you know, he tries to, you know, fly and tries to make it out the window. And he falls, and, you know, and his one of his arms pop off and everything. And Buzz is just kind of, no. Buzz, you know, Woody, I think, sees part of this. And, like, Buzz is just way out of it at this point in time. And, of course, Sid's sister Hannah finds him. And she dresses him up and puts him in an apron and puts a funny hat on his head and calls him Mrs. Nesbit. Which is just funny. And of course, Woody finds him in there with, like, she's having like a tea party with him. We see these very different things between Sid and his sister Hannah. And, you know, Sid and his sister are just like polar opposites. Like, Andy very much seems to love his little sister more. I mean, like, yeah, in the later movies, we see them kind of like argue with each other every now and then a little bit. But like, for the most part, like, Andy seems to very much like helping take care of his sister at this point in time. So that's not really an issue. But like Hannah and Sid are very much these opposite characters type of thing. And one of the things is, you know, she's like calling him Mrs. Nesbit and pretending to give him tea. And then like Woody tricks her by being like, Hannah, this is your mother. Can you come downstairs? Type of thing. Like, you know, tricks her, and like she runs out of the room. You know, I'm just like going, this is your mother. It's not going to make me take your, you know. That's not going to catch my attention, but like whatever Woody does to like trick Hannah out of the room, and he grabs Buzz and like he like kind of like knocks some sense into Buzz and everything, and like he sees as Buzz has like had this realization that he is just a toy, and it's just this very kind of, you know, Woody starts to realize that it was never Buzz's intention to try to take Andy away from him. You know, Buzz just initially thought that he was this, you know, space ranger, and that he was supposed to make his way back and go to try to fight Zurg and everything. And, you know, Andy just, you know, Buzz just got, or Woody just got so jealous of Buzz that he just, let that jealousy get a hold of him, take a hold of him. And, that, caused a rift between him and the other toys and everything. And what we see happen is, Buzz and Woody end up back in Sid's room, and like Buzz tries to, because like the rest of the toys have been like looking for Buzz all over the place, and like they see, Woody on the, in Andy's room, or through Andy's window into Sid's room, and like they're just like, oh my God, Woody, you're okay, blah 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 blah. Where's Buzz? And like Woody is like holding on to like Buzz's, technically detached hand, which arm, which is just like, in the context of, it is like a detached arm, but it's like, it's a detached arm from like a, I was gonna say, I think I had something in here. Nope. Okay. I thought I had something that had like a detached arm that I could like wave it around. The detached like arm from an action figure. Get your mind out of the disturbing gutter. For those of you that put it there. But so Woody tries to convince them, like they throw these lights across, Christmas lights, throw them across to, so that way like Woody and Buzz can like climb across and everything. But like they accidentally, Woody accidentally shows them, the arm, and, they're just like, oh my God, like they're just like horrified by that and everything. And like, they drop the lights so like Woody can't climb across. And Woody is just trying to like, snap Buzz out of it. And what ends up, the other thing that happens is like all the rest of the makeshift mix-match, Sid's experiment toys like come out, and like they grab, Buzz's arm from Woody, and like they grab Buzz and like they fix his arm and everything and like reattach him, and like they reveal that like they put the dolls back the way they were supposed to be, Hannah's doll and the pterosaur doll, put them back the way that they were supposed to be and everything. Because like, I mean, logically, they've watched Sid pull these toys apart, and like they know how they themselves to a degree were constructed, because they've like watched Sid like pull them, pull the other toys apart and reconstruct them and everything like that. So they would kind of know what to do. So that's what they do. They like fix Buzz and everything, and like they fix the other toys. And Woody mentions something about like, oh my God, well, you guys can help us get out of here. And like, they just like scatter and hide. And like, this is when, I don't remember exactly at this point in time, but like Buzz is still very kind of like broken at this point in time. And, he, he's just kind of like sitting there, like just, he like has no will of his own at this point in time. He's just like this kind, not like a blank slate, because he still has all of his memories and everything, but he literally just had like this conscious of crisis type of a thing. And what happens is Sid comes in, and he's got this big giant firecracker rocket type thing that's that is just not for children and everything like that. And his intention is to like tie Woody to it. And then he like sees Buzz, and he's gonna like, he tapes Buzz to it, but he can't go outside because it's raining. So I guess you do get like some little bit of raw water in it in that sense, but you don't really like look outside and see like full on that it's raining. They just kind of do like that effect that it's raining, to the point that the audience will buy it. And he's just like, well, I'll just blow it up in the morning then. And so Sid goes to bed, and at that point in time, Woody and Buzz end up having this conversation, and it's kind of along the lines of Woody basically confesses to Buzz that he's just like, Woody just like confesses to Buzz about why he was so jealous to him, and like it's basically like, why would Andy want me? Look at you, you're Buzz Lightyear. Any other toy would give up his moving parts just to be you. You've got wings, you glow in the dark, you talk, your helmet does that whoosh thing. You are a cool toy. As a matter of fact, you're too cool. I mean, what chance does a toy like me have against a Buzz Lightyear action figure? And like, we have that moment between Buzz and Woody, and Buzz has this moment where he realizes that he's meant to be Andy's toy, and like, because like we know that like but or Woody of course has like Andy on, like scrawled on the bottom of his boot that, you know, Andy wrote that there. Like the rest of the toys have that one way or the other written on them, and Buzz has that on the bottom of his foot. And like he looks at that, and like that's where he has this, you know, epiphany that was like, being Andy's toy is what I'm supposed to be. I am supposed to be a toy for kids to play with, for Andy to play with specifically. And, you know, and that's what happens is, you know, Buzz gets this, you know, he's like, yeah, no, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get home. We're going to get we're going to get to Andy's house, and we're going to get back to Andy because that's where we belong. And like that night, like, you know, when Buzz is sitting there that night with like the rocket strapped to his back and everything, we cut back over to Andy's house where Andy is just very depressed because he can't find Woody or Buzz. And Bo just has a sign to her just like, oh, Woody, if you knew how much Andy missed you, type of a thing. Because like, yeah, I mean, like, like, you know, in all honesty, I've had hundreds, probably not thousands of toys, but hundreds of toys throughout my life. I still have them in some cases. You know, I have some toys that like I've shown you on the channel before that I've had for a very long time. You know, little tiny figurines from Disney movies that I've had for a very long time that I've kept since I was a kid because they meant so much to me. And you know, I've had other toys that's like, well, it broke, and like I used super glue and like put it back together and everything like that. And it's like, there are toys that mean so much to you that you want to be able to keep them. Like these ones, for a very good example, you know, I kept all of these toys because they all mean so much to me. And, you know, I have other toys that I've kept for a long time that mean a lot to me as well. Not necessarily because they were really expensive when I bought them, or because I spent a lot of money on them, or because someone else spent a lot of money on them and then gave them to me. It was just, I had so many memories of playing with those toys. And, you know, to a degree, you know, with as many different imagination things as you can come up with, you know, you do that with the toys. I've done that too. You know, maybe not every kid imagines things the same way that Andy does. Some kids kind of maybe have been like Sid, or, you know, closer to Hannah, or, you know, maybe they were like Andy. I probably was a little bit closer to Andy than any of the other ones that they show in this Toy Story movie. You know, so you see that when it comes to different toys, and when it comes to just like your own childhood, and like toys that, yeah, you may play with another toy for a while, but you'll always, you know, come back to these other toys. You know, you don't just like forget about these toys necessarily. And, you know, it's like I kept toys that I played with when I was a kid because, you know, maybe someday, you know, maybe I won't give them to my nieces and nephew, but like maybe I'll give them to like my kids someday. Or maybe I'll give them to like their kids someday down the line, or something like that. But, you know, it's just like we see how much Woody still means to Andy, that he didn't forget about Woody just because Buzz showed up. And like, so we see that and everything. And, you know, Buzz and Woody had this conversation and just like, yeah, no, we got to get back to Andy. I got to get you back to Andy. We have to go back because with Andy is where we belong, type of a thing. And, you know, then unfortunately morning hits and Sid grabs Buzz and takes him out to the backyard. And then, but Woody does this like impassioned speech to like the rest of the toys in the room. And he's just like, okay, here's what we got to do. We have to save this toy. We have to save Buzz. And he's going to get blown up if we don't. And, you know, we have to break a few rules. And, like, they come up with this whole plan of how to get out of the house and everything. And, like, you know, someone ring the doorbell. And then we trick Hannah. And then, you know, we ride out of here and we escape. And we get into the backyard. And then, like, you know, we just, like, scare the heck out of Sid with this. Just hilarious. Because then, of course, we get the moment where, you know, of course, that's the moment in the movie where, of course, Sid, you know, Woody says something that he's not supposed to say. And, you know, Sid gets back over to him and, like, he picks Woody up. And, like, Woody says something else that, like, Woody's not supposed to say. And then, like, you know, the head turn, you know, the creepy thing of the head turning all the way around to look at Sid. And, like, going, you know, whatever it is that Woody says, it just like starts freaking Sid out because like the toys are talking, and then like all the rest of the toys that he's made, we're not happy with you, Sid. You've been a very bad boy, type of thing. And like all of the toys just start like crawling out, like scare Sid and everything, and like scare him off, and he just like like starts running to the house, and I just like, to a degree, I don't blame him. And then he starts getting really freaking freaked out by the toys. Because in all honesty, if I was in his shoes and like all of my toys started to move and talk and everything, I wanted to make sure they were going to start moving and talking. Although if they did, I would have evidence of it. It's just like, see, I'm not crazy. They moved. Or something was going to like fall over in the background. That would have been funny too. But, it's like, so it's just like we see that where, if that happened to you, you would get freaked out too. Like Sid runs into the house and he's just like freaking out, like, oh my God, the toys moved, the toys are talking. Oh my God. And like his sister is just like, and she like holds her doll up to him and he's just like, like runs off. And it's just like funny. It's just like, sister got the revenge. That's funny. And of course, like all the toys are then like free of Sid, and then like Buzz and Woody have to get, they have to catch up to the moving van. And I think it's Woody gets caught up to the moving van first, and he grabs RC, who's like the little RC racing car RC, yeah. Gets him out and, sends him out as like is driving him out to go and get Buzz. Because like Buzz can't run as fast because he's got the rocket strapped to his back still, which is not safe. But of course gets us a very awesome moment very shortly. And of course, like the other toys are just like, oh my God, buddy, Woody has gone crazy. He's trying to, hurt RC too, and everything like that. And like, Buzz and Woody, Buzz is trying to, or Woody is trying to get Buzz and RC fast enough to get them up to the, get them to, the get them on the moving van. And, like Woody gets thrown out and he lands on the, lands on Buzz and RC as they're riding and everything. And like the rest of the toys end up looking, and like they see that it's Buzz and Woody are on RC, and that they're trying to get caught up to the truck and everything. And like they try to help, try to get like the lamp lowered, the ramp lowered for them to like climb on. And like, we get the moment where like Slink is like hanging out of the car, like hanging on to Buzz, hanging on to Woody, trying to stretch as far as he can. Like, go Slink, go, stretch as far as he can to like try to get Buzz and Woody onto the and RC back onto the moving van, and that doesn't work. And like RC kind of runs out of battery, unfortunately, at that point in time, and the moving van's too far away. And Buzz and Woody are just like, oh my God, like we can't catch up because it's too far away. And we have the moment, of course, where Woody has the revelation of where he figures out how to use Buzz. They try to use the match to light the firework, and that doesn't work. So what ends up happening is, Woody uses, Buzz's helmet because it's, reflective and everything, and, condenses the light, like sets the firecracker off, and they start, woo! That moment with like Woody hanging on to RC as they're flying, and RC gets thrown into the back of the moving van, and I think they close the back of the moving van, and like Woody's just like, I just realized I lit a rocket, and like they get like fired into the air. And of course the moment where it's like Buzz is like, that's okay, and he like activates his wings that pop out, and like they cut the duct tape that's like holding into the rocket, and so the rocket explodes. And Buzz and Woody are they're flying, no, we're falling with style, which I love. I love that line, we're falling with style. And of course they land through the top of the minivan that like Andy and his mom and Molly are in, and they land through the top of that, and they land in the box, and Andy is just like looks over, just like, Buzz, Woody, Mom, I found them, they were in the car the whole time. I'm like, well, you would have saw them if they were a child, type of a thing. But it's just like, oh, there they are, type of thing. Like they're all happy and everything. Like Buzz and Woody are now like best friends, type of thing. And, they moved to their new house. And then, later that year at Christmas, they have the moment where it's like the toys, the toys have all reconciled with Woody and everything. Like, everything's back to normal, and like Buzz and Woody are best friends. That type of thing. After they had this very, butting heads time frame in there. And, they're at Christmas, and like they're all opening new toys and everything. And like, Molly got a brand new Mrs. Potato Head. And, Mr. Potato Head's just like, oh, yay. Finally, type of thing. And, just like all these other funny things. And like, Buzz just seems a little bit worried. And Woody's like, come on, what can be worse than you, type of thing. What could Andy possibly get that is worse than you, type of a joke, and replying that it's just like, well, what can be worse than what we went through, for us to finally become friends, type of a thing. And of course, that's when, it's like, oh my God, it's a puppy. Just like, oh no. Moment. So, it's like, and we know later in the second movie, the puppy's name is Buster. He's a little dachshund type puppy, and he's adorable. And I had a dachshund. He was my sister's dog when she was with her mom, and then she moved in with us when my mom and our dad were married, and then she had her dog named Babe, and he was adorable, and he was a dachshund. And we think he got stolen out of the backyard at some point, but I don't know. In regards to the voice cast of the movie, we of course have, Tom Hanks as Woody. We have Tim Allen, of course, as Buzz Lightyear. We have Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head. We have Jim Varney as Slinky Dog. We have Wallace Shawn as Rex. Wallace Shawn is, of course, also, I think it's Vincini from The Princess Bride of, inconceivable. Him. John Ratzenberger, of course, as Ham, who is, I think, in like almost every single Pixar movie. Annie Potts is Bo Peep. We have John Morris as Andy. We have Hannah Uncrick, who is, I think, just does like the baby voices for Molly. We, of course, have Eric Von Detten as Sid Phillips. We have R. Lee Ermey as Sarge. We have Laurie Metcalf as Andy's mom, Mrs. Phillips. I don't think she ever ends up getting a first name, but she's just Mrs. Phillips. And then, Mrs. Davis, not Mrs. Phillips, Mrs. Davis. And then we have Jeff Pigeon as the aliens, the claw. That will forever be funny to me. And then, of course, in regards to, the movie is not a musical, because none of the Pixar movies so far have been musicals, but there's still very prominent music in the movie. There's, of course, the You Got a Friend in Me, of course, by Randy Newman. There's Strange Things, of course, by Randy Newman. And then, of course, there's I Will Go Sailing No More, also by Randy Newman, which the You Got a Friend in Me is like the end theme for Toy Story. Strange Things is like from Woody's perspective when he's appears to be being replaced by all the Buzz Lightyear stuff. And then I Will Go Sailing No More is, I think, the song that they use for when Buzz has his revelation that he is a toy, that he's not the real Buzz Lightyear, that he's a toy. Okay, so before I go into the Kingdom Hearts or some of the little bit extra stuff for this, I did want to go over one of the kind of behind the scenes stories for this movie. So as I mentioned, Pixar is the first feature length, computer animated movie. Pixar had done shorts, and they'd been had like this deal with Disney at the time, and you can go look more into that deal. But that had a whole issue of itself. But they had a previous version of the movie, like the first half of the movie, that they had like storyboarded and like done like small character voices and stuff like that, so that way they could like show it to the executives from Disney in regards to like how the process for the movie was going. And this is called the Black Friday incident, because they had everything ready and they took it into the studio into Disney and like showed it to them, and like it was not good, because it was just like, it made Woody look so bad, like just this horrible jerk in the way that he acted with, the way that he treated Buzz and the way that he treated the other toys and everything, that he just he was no longer this appealing character that, Woody makes some bad decisions in the movie when he gets jealous of Buzz and like, accidentally knocked him out the window and things like that. So he still has those moments where, you know, he's not the best, but he learns. This Woody didn't seem like he was going to learn the lessons he was supposed to learn in the course of the movie. And like they did a complete redesign of not like the character itself, but like they refigured what like these different story moments in the beginning as to why you understand to a degree why Woody was feeling the way that he did. And like so there's this whole like behind the scenes thing that goes into that. And other channels have broken that down more than I can. Much better than I can. But, you know, it's like you go through like all these different things when it comes to Toy Story and everything. Like, as I've said, I love Toy Story. I would still say out of like all the Pixar movies, I would still say like the one that I like the least, I think, is Cars 2. But even then, it's like I'll still happily watch Cars 2. And like all the other Pixar movies and everything like that, I still, you know, love so many of them. And I will, you know, it's like I'll love them for a long time to come, type of thing. I'll be the old person in the nursing home going, I remember when Toy Story came out. I remember when there were only 4 Toy Stories. Now we're up to Toy Story 73. No, I don't think they'll go that far with Toy Story. I don't think they will, but I think like Disney and Pixar are going to continue to make Pixar and Disney movies and everything like that. I think that's going to continue for a very long time. But in regards to the miscellaneous things, as I said, I'll be going over Toy Story 2 and 3 and 4 in their own separate videos, and other tie-ins that go with that. But one of the tie-ins that I can talk about for the original Toy Story is the Kingdom Hearts tie-in, which I haven't gotten to talk about for a little while because like Kingdom Hearts didn't really tie into any of the more recent Disney movies that came out. Which is sad. I think the most recent one that they were able to tie into was Frozen, I think, was the most recent one that they tied into. Because they didn't do anything for Moana or for Raya or anything like that, because like Raya wasn't out at the time. But they didn't do anything for like Moana in regards to Kingdom Hearts as far as I'm aware. There is still one Kingdom Hearts game that I have to play that's like a main series game, and I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet. Because I've had other things I had to do between work and having a YouTube channel. And one of the things that happens is it takes place in Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's Sora, Donald, and Goofy, pictured here on the shirt. Mickey's on the shirt too, so is Kyrie. They land in a world that is called the Toy Box World. And they get turned into toys, and they basically land in the Toy Story world in Andy's room. And they all just look like action figures, and actually Sora looks like this action figure that is based off of this character that's in like this new video game that's coming out soon in like the Toy Box world, which is like this whole meta, making fun of itself of like, well, Kingdom Hearts is a video game, and now there's this video game that has like this stuff in it, and, like it kind of looks like Sora and everything. So like Sora, Donald, and Goofy all get turned into toys, and like they interact with Buzz and Woody. And the reason I put it here is because, like, as far as I can remember, in the game, when you're playing through the Toy Box world, I do not remember you interacting with Jessie or Bullseye. I do not remember interacting with them because and I could be wrong, and you could interact with them, but I don't remember interacting with them during Toy Box world. And like, so your main objective is, of course, to fight the Heartless, of course, and like you have Buzz and Woody on the team, and like I think you have like Rex and Ham and Mr. Potato Head like help you at some point in time, and you fight the Heartless that show up in Andy's room, and then you fight your way out of the house and fight those Heartless there, and like Andy's driveway, and then like you make your way to the mall and you like fight through all these different stores in the mall, like all the different Heartless are like toy themed, and it's really fun. And like you just like play through like all these different themed stores to like fight the Heartless, and it's actually a really fun place to run around in and everything. I really liked how they designed that section of the world for it, so I think they did a really good job with that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Are there any other Toy Story things I needed to point out? Oh, well, they are going to be doing the next Pixar movie that's supposed to be coming out is, of course, the actual, like, the Buzz Lightyear movie that is, like, the story of the Buzz Lightyear character that the Buzz Lightyear action figure is based on, and Chris Evans Captain America is of course going to be playing Buzz Lightyear, is voicing Buzz Lightyear and everything, and like I've seen the previews for it and they look really funny and everything, and they look really good, and I'll definitely be seeing that. And then I'll probably end up doing a review for it at some point, but I just haven't seen, you know, when it comes out I'll see it. But so I'm not really going to be talking about that here too much, but it's just like, yeah, that'll be there at some point. I'll do the review of that. Either when it comes out or like shortly after it comes out or something like that after I see it. But that'll be an interesting way of like a take on how they're gonna like build that into like the plot of Toy Story and everything. And like just kind of how they play that off. I mean, like I guess this is probably a theory that someone has already come up with, but I'm just gonna point it out here. You know, that it's like it may end up being like at the end of the movie, like, you know, they'll go through this whole big movie and everything of, you know, all the different characters that they'll be introducing and everything. And I will do something where I do talk about like the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command animated series. Star Command, that's what it was, the animated series. I will talk about that at some point. I might talk about that a little bit more with Toy Story 2, because it would have come out like after Toy Story 2. So I might do something about that, but not yet. But like, so we get like this whole introduction of like, you know, Star Command and everything like that we go through with that, like this mission and, you know, everything that goes into that with like the movie. And, you know, it might be like we get to the whole movie because like they have like very futuristic technology and everything like that, and we don't know exactly how that's going to play into like tying into like the Buzz Lightyear action figure type of thing. And then it may end up being like at the end of the movie, at the very, very end of the Buzz Lightyear movie, like maybe it'll like, and like this would like really break the fourth wall or really break like something, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Pixar at least pitched the idea of like they pull back from the movie and it's like a movie screen that you're watching, and like you see, you know, Buzz and Woody and like the cast from, you know, Toy Story, like they're watching this movie or something like that and like saying something about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, but I would also be very surprised if they didn't. You know, I would be very surprised if they did that, because I don't think that they would put like all this stuff into this movie just to like pull it back and say, oh, this was just a movie in the world of Pixar. I don't think that they would do that, but I could be wrong. We'll see. You know, we'll see what happens with that. So that's what I have for this. I thank you very much for watching, listening to me ramble bits about my childhood and such. But hey, it's a movie about toys that come to life that are loved by a child. So, you know, you can't really blame me for talking a little bit about that. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you have a nice rest of your day. And since I'm recording this the day before Valentine's Day and it won't be going up until a while after Valentine's Day, I hope that you had a happy Valentine's Day. So, bye. You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.